Greetings, actives, and welcome to the August Founders Zoom. I like to call it Founders Call, but it's really a Zoom. And as always, David and I are together. And on the 15th of every month, we'd like to say hello to all of you and welcome all of you who are new to ACTIVZ. And of course, greetings to all of you seasoned vets out there. We're going to talk a little bit about the high points from last month of July, which was really quite a month. We're bucking the trends, the historical trends, in not only in our own company, but in the direct selling industry. And we have some really exciting things to talk about that are just right around the corner. So let's go ahead and get started. If you are sitting there watching this for the first time and your team is not joining you, just take out your phone and send everyone a quick message. Let them know that the Founders Zoom has begun, and make sure that your teams are here every single month on the 15th. All right, David, hello.
Hey,
let's talk. We are in the dog days of summer, as some might say, but I'm still waiting for those dog days to show up because we're super busy and there seems to be a lot going on. So we're not. There's no lazy dogs laying around, at least the Thompson household. How about your place?
No, the stultifying heat of the summer has not caused us to just sit around and with our mint juleps and on our verandas, or I don't know, whatever that is, but we're working, and ACTIVZ is not sitting around either. In fact, as you mentioned, typically difficult months, in my experience being in retail and other industries, the summer months, unless you sell stuff specifically designed for the summer, swimsuits, barbecue stuff, that type of thing, your sales drop off, and things slow down, and people just kind of accept it and say, well, it's going to be slow, so I'll just wait until the fall. Things are going to pick back up, and companies do that as well. And what's interesting, we've seen that in our industry before. And what's interesting to me is that when we say that we buck the trend, what we're really talking about is those of you listening and thousands of others decided to buck the trend and say, yeah, most people take it off. But when other people are taking time off, that actually creates a great opportunity for me to move forward. And I think people have decided to do that and not let any type of seasonality affect them and move forward. So it's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Historically, over the years working in this industry, not retail, but the direct selling industry, the same thing happens. I can remember probably the first decade working at a very large company, and the summers were slower. And the company's attitude was, hey, let's not try and swim against the current. Let's just let it happen, and then we'll pick back up when kids are back in school and people are back focused and no longer taking their vacations. And that's also something that we see happen in this industry. I think that it's important to point out, though, for everybody here listening, they're saying, well, gosh, what's happening with ACTIVZ? ACTIVZ, we have been on an unstoppable growth curve since November of last year, and it's been really, really exciting. And the month of July was no different. We held strong. I think it's an understatement, but this is the first July where we haven't really dropped or dipped in sales. Previous Julys, we've gone back a little bit. So congratulations to all of you. Our number one fastest growing market happens to be the US. David and I, before this call, we were talking about, well, gosh, who are the people? I mean, it's interesting. And some of you, I hope you're all watching right now. But we're saying, we don't even really know who all of these leaders are. Who are the generals? Who are the captains? Where, across, the 330 million people country here. And it's a big country, and it's great that we're growing. That's the fastest growing market right now. Not the biggest market, but the fastest growing market in ACTIVZ. But something really good is happening. And we want to get to know who you are. We want to find out who you are. Here in the US, it's incredible. So we're planning a pretty exciting event that we're going to talk more about here in just a minute. But I'll just say that my highlight for July was the great growth, the fact that the US continues to be, as of late, it's been the fastest growing market. So kudos to everybody who's on this Zoom today. Another highlight was we have some exciting rank advancements. A month doesn't go by without us getting excited to see, okay, who's reaching their goals. And a longtime friend of mine, one of the pioneers of ACTIVZ from the very beginning, and actually I worked with her predating ACTIVZ at a previous company, is Lucy Serra out of the southeast part of Mexico in Chiapas. She reached the rank A14. A14 is a pretty impressive rank. And for a dynamic young lady like Lucy, and she did it in the month of July. Arguably one of the toughest months of the year to do that. We also had 2 new A11s. We had 4 A10s. We had a bunch of A9s. We had a bucket load of A8s and A7s. I think A9 and above, we had 20 rank advancements. So that's exciting. And here's something exciting, David. I was talking with our head of finance, and he probably shared this with you as well. But our last commission payout that we paid out for Unilevel, right? We paid it out before today, the 15th. Normally it's on the 15th, but we've already paid it out. We paid out more in royalty commissions than, let me get this right. No. I'm going to change what I'm saying. And this is a live video, so I can't go back and edit it. All of you who qualified for Momentum Escape, we had so many people qualify for Momentum Escape. We deposited into all of your bank accounts $600 each in order to make your flight reservations, right? To either to travel to Park City or to travel to Cancun. And he told me that, he said, I transferred more money than our entire incentive trip budget in our first year. Remember our first trip we took to Cancun? I think our first trip may have been the Barcelo Maya, if I remember correctly. And that's where, this Momentum Escape is. So just what we're paying people to buy their flights exceeded our entire trip budget for like a 10-day trip or a 7-night trip, I think it was. So if that's any indication of how we're growing, I think that numbers don't lie. So it's great that we exceeded our entire incentive trip budget with just what we're paying people so they can buy their flights to get to the event. And that's exciting. So you should all be very proud of that. And it's exciting to see the evolution of the company. But I've got a lot more to share. I feel like I'm babbling. David, what were some of your highlights of this last month?
Well, one of the highlights is that I was able to provide an investor update to our investors. Now, some of you were at the ACTIVZ School on Saturday and listened to Randy Haig, one of our founding investors, and found out about his background and what attracted investors to support Ryan and me as we started this company in the first place. And he talked about things like our track record, our previous experience, the products, all that kind of thing. And you might say, well, seriously, David, you got to get a life if the most exciting thing that happened to you in July is that you sent out an investor update. But when you have the type of news that we had to share, it was awesome. And it's interesting, Ryan. I think about how different our story is now than it was 2, 3, let alone 5, 6, 7 years ago. When we were first starting out, we talked about things like, well, this is what we've done in the past. We've had success in the past. And this is what we're going to do in the future. So based upon what we've done and what we're going to do, this is going to be a good company for you to join and invest in and right. Help us. And that's basically what our distributors had to do also. This is what they've done, this is what they're going to do, and this is why you should join. Now, fast forward 5 or 6 years, and during that time, we had good growth. We had double-digit year-over-year growth. Which in most industries would be spectacular. You and I are used to companies that we've been part of growing a lot faster than that, but we've never had to deal with COVID and pandemics before. Right. And so a lot of things kind of interrupted that. But nevertheless, now here we are against a backdrop of, the direct selling news asking us to speak in October saying, man, you guys are one of the few companies that have had continual growth. Everybody else seems to be going backwards. And we don't discuss our revenue and things like that publicly, but he'll ask me, are you guys still growing? I'll say, yeah, we're still growing. We're growing even faster. And it's almost like he's listening with disbelief that this. And the same thing when we talk to our investors, we go from double-digit year-over-year growth to double-digit month-over-month growth, and that compounds pretty fastly. Pretty fastly, is that a word? Fastly, pretty quickly. That's what all those years of graduate school did for me, pretty fastly. But what's fun is that now our story is we can still talk about what we've done. We can still talk about what we're going to do. But the exciting thing is, but this is what we're doing. What we're doing right now is we are paying, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for people to qualify and go on a Momentum Escape trip. What we're doing, we're paying more in commissions every month than our monthly revenue was for quite a while. That we are now expanded into more countries. We're touching more lives. That it's just a fun, incredible time to be part of ACTIVZ. And I really hope that everyone says, man, has this rocket ship risen so high that I can't reach up and partake of it and participate? The answer is no, you're already on it. You're already on the rocket ship. And be part of it. And maybe your engines aren't firing as much as possible to help the rocket ship get even higher, but that's okay. It's never too late. Let's get started. Those are the things that get me excited.
Right. Yeah, that is exciting, and I'm glad that the word fastly is now officially part of the ACTIVZ lexicon. So you've just anointed it. So
fastly. That's what, fastly.
Yeah. Exactly. July is exciting, and you're right, our message has changed. You got me thinking a bit about what the message to the market was when we first launched, and it was very exciting. It was exciting then. It still is exciting. But we've gone from talking about, why we were focusing on Mexico, why launch in Mexico, talked a lot about the values that are inherent in the culture. We wanted those to really influence and kind of define the culture of our company. Talked about, old friendships and people that were there, essentially waiting for this opportunity. But we don't tell that story. I don't tell that story anymore, David. What I do tell is I talk about the lives that have changed. Because now we have evidence, right? We don't just have an aspirational vision. We have evidence. Our highest earners are Latinos. We have changed so many lives, and I will always be grateful for that decision that we chose to launch first in Mexico. Because now, as we continue to expand throughout the world, we've got really good people who have left a footprint or a fingerprint on this company in terms of their values. I interviewed the other day one of our A15s, and I think we've talked about it before, but Danny Pizarro, he said something very interesting, David, on a Zoom. I wish everybody could have heard him. And he's our latest qualifier for the incentive trip to Panama, the Panama cruise. But he didn't qualify by rank advancing. You can get a lot of points when you rank advance. He qualified and he didn't rank advance. In fact, he said, he had just hit A15 the month before we announced the incentive trip, which means he would in order to get all the points associated with that, he would have had to have rank advance after we announced the incentive trip. So he was concerned. And I wouldn't say nervous or upset, but he was concerned. But he qualified very quickly. I mean, he's 100% qualified right now to go on the cruise. And he talked about this, and he named people by name. He called them out in his organization. All these people have been rank advancing this last month, the month of June and the month of July, so much so, and of course have been doing everything else to get points. From new enrollments to auto ships, to helping people qualify for the Momentum Escape. That's where he's gotten a lot of his points. And he talked about teamwork and the importance of teamwork, and how working as a team quite literally is what qualified him to go on this cruise, and quite literally is what's going to qualify a lot of other people on his team to go on the cruise, and hopefully will be what quite literally helps many of you qualify. But instead of focusing on yourself and going to the report that we have in the virtual office, it shows how many points you have, and say, okay, what do I need to do? Dig into your organization, say, what does this person need to do to qualify for the incentive trip? What does this person need to do to qualify to get on that trip? What does this person need to do? And when you do that, and you help them reach your goals, that's what's going to get you to your goal, right? Because you earn points when other people whom you have personally enrolled rank advance. So it was inspiring, because going back to how we launched the company, David, and it being very aspirational and saying, I wanted to sort of turn the industry on its head and do something that no multinational company had ever done. They've never come out and said, we're going to launch in Mexico like we did. But we now have not just evidence that worked and continues to work, but we have people like Danny, who he's a humble guy. He's a humble individual with a giant heart, who just wants all of his friends and his family, because he's got his immediate family and his extended family all involved in ACTIVZ. He just wants them to be free. He wants them to get to the top. He wants them to reach their goals, and to live life to the fullest. I mean, he's young. He's full of these great aspirational ideas. He always sends me pictures of his home that they're building that's right on the ocean in Tampico, Tamaulipas. It's incredible. It's this beautiful whitewashed edifice, and I know a bit about his story before he joined ACTIVZ, and he was nowhere near the lifestyle that he has now. So we're making a big difference, and it's exciting to see how the baton is being passed now. It started with a sort of our vision, David. We shared the vision, and we're starting to fulfill that vision. And now other people, these leaders who are really reaching their goals, because an A15 can live quite well, and especially when they have multiple business centers and multiple members of their family also with sizable checks coming in. But now they're passing that baton to the next generation, and that generation is actually passing it to the next generation. And people who have 3 months here with ACTIVZ are reaching great ranks. The last thing that I want to say, that's something else that excites me, and this is a highlight for me of July, but it's also something that I'm kind of peeking around the corner a little bit. Our 2 new A11s from this last month. Do you know where they were from? Does anyone know where they were from? They weren't from Mexico. They also weren't from the US. They weren't from Peru. They were both from, let's see, one was from Ecuador and one was from Guatemala. So 2 of our global connect markets are producing A11s. These are people who don't have a pickup center to go to. It takes a long time to get the product. Sometimes it gets stopped at customs. They can only buy for personal use only because of restrictions in those markets until we get the registration. But we're attracting people who have a real big vision for their own future. They see what ACTIVZ has. They see what makes us unique and different, and they're hitching their wagon to us, and they're growing fast. Because I'm thinking of Maglis. She's a woman. She's in Guatemala. She hasn't been here longer than 3 months. She's probably been here maybe 3 months, and now she's already in A11. So that's inspiring to me, and that was another highlight for me for the month of July. David, I know I said a lot there, and you're probably thinking, oh man, I want to respond to that. So go ahead. But what excites you about what's coming down the pipeline?
They're such fun stories. We mentioned that we have this event in the U.S. Coming in October in Park City. It's going to be kind of tied into the Momentum Escape trip that for which qualifications have just begun, and people are going to be able to go to Park City if they choose, which is up in the mountains of Utah. Beautiful resort, beautiful hotel. It's going to be great. But what I really took away from what you just said is that, frankly, and we'll talk more about this at the event, is that the only way to succeed at ACTIVZ is to be a struggling Mexican school teacher in Tampico, to be a woman in Guatemala, or a person in Ecuador. Those are the only people that can succeed at the more obstacles, the better. And I think, well, really, what they all do have in common was a burning desire to change their lives and change the lives of the people around them. And I couldn't help thinking, as you were talking about, talking with Danny and saying, hey, the way you do this is help people beneath you in your organization or within your organization to succeed. Isn't that really what life is all about and succeeding is all about? I mean, it's really the more that we help, this is a lesson that I think we all kind of understand intellectually, but it takes us a little bit of time to internalize it. That is, if we really do want to succeed at whatever we desire in life, the more people we help succeed, that success just kind of happens naturally without worrying every day, am I succeeding? Am I succeeding? Am I succeeding? What happens, natural flow of that is, as you're succeeding by introducing it to others, I really think it's important that these people have the opportunity for financial freedom that ACTIVZ offers. I really think it's important that people take advantage of the health benefits that our products offer that are scientifically proven. And when we kind of get out of the mindset of, man, I got to do this, I got to hit this rank, I got to make this money, I got to do that, and shift the paradigm the way you just talked about to one of helping other people and sharing with them and saying, I've got the vehicle for you, it's amazing what happens, regardless of where you live, what your gender or your background is, and that success arises just organically and naturally. That's what's really exciting to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Well, you hit on the upcoming event that we have taking place in Park City, and I'll just close my remarks on that point. And as we plan it, guys, please start planning to attend that event. There's a registration link that you should all have by now. Let us know that you're coming. We are planning some cool things, and let me just say this: it's not just a training. We're not just going to be sitting inside of a conference room, listening to presentations. There's going to be some fun, interactive, team building opportunities for everybody who attends. But you got to make sure you register early if you're going to attend or to participate. We may not be able to include you in certain team building activities that we want to do if you show up on the doorstep the day of. So the team has encouraged me to remind you to please register for that event. Of course, if you're coming with the Momentum Escape, you're already going to be there. You're going to participate in the team building and in the event itself. But if you're not coming to Park City, if you're only coming for the event, you're not part of Momentum Escape, make sure you register soon. And make sure you're making plans to be there, because it's going to be unforgettable. We have a lot to talk to you about. We've got a lot to share with you about what's next and with the vision for the U.S. The U.S., as I mentioned at the top of this, it's the fastest growing market in ACTIVZ right now. There's a lot to do. This is a huge, huge country. And the next few years, there's going to be a lot of big, big developments here in the United States. So I want you to be there. I want you to hear what this is about. And more importantly, I want you to come have fun with us, because we're going to have a blast in Park City, Utah. So make sure that you're there. And my last words, and David, then I'll pass it to you, is make sure that now that we have the latter part of the year still remaining, but the second half, right? We went up, now we're coming down to the end of 2013. Make sure that you've got your sights set on what it is that you want to achieve this year. Don't wait till next year. Don't wait till 2024 or 2025. Achieve something big right now. Reverse engineer it so that you know what to do each and every day, so that when we get to the end of 2023, you're going to have a sigh of relief and that feel that contentment, knowing that you gave it your all, and you're now an A12, or you're now an A11, or you're now an A10. And I'll say this: anybody listening to this, if you want to be an A12, you can be an A12 this year. If you're already an A12, well, you should move on. But if you're not, get there, right? You can do it. You just got to have a daily plan of action. Look the goal in its face every day, and make sure that you're doing everything you can to take action on it. So your vision is the most important thing, right? And I learned recently, I was reminded recently, something that people stop working, they throw the towel and they give up when they lose sight of their vision, right? So make sure that you're connecting with your vision. We call it your why sometimes, every day. What are you here for? What do you want to achieve with ACTIVZ? And make sure that you think about it enough so you can feel it, right? And it gets the adrenaline going, just thinking about what you want to do with your life and what you're going to accomplish. Then go do it, right? But connect yourself with that every day. And with that, David, you got the final word.
Well, it'll be short. The name of the event in October is the ACTIVZ Leadership Summit. And you might say, well, I'm not a leader. I don't think I'm a leader. Well, the biggest part of succeeding and leading is just showing up. So by showing up, you'll demonstrate that you're a leader. You're doing some things that other people will not do, and sacrificing and prioritizing things that other people will not do. That is the mark of leadership. So we hope to see you there. It's in the mountains, so it's a summit, and it won't be the peak of where we are at ACTIVZ forever, but it is the peak right now of where we're at, and we invite you all to attend. So on that note, Ryan, great seeing you. We look forward to seeing everyone on our various calls and at this event in October. And until then, have a great rest of the month, everyone.
Thanks, David. Take care, everybody. Have a great end of your August. Take care.